Hi, welcome to Laura's View and Tara too. I am so glad you're here. I'm glad I'm here. It was a long 5 days away. Okay, and I didn't have a lot of conversation about current events and stuff to keep me going. I was on a strict diet. Anyway, today's date is Friday, February 7th, 2025. And even though I wasn't making videos, I was trying to keep up with current events and I was captivated by what was going on with USAID and the disclosures. I just loved how the Doge team got some information and is disseminating it. I have to admit, I find it amusing that there are liberal tears being shed about the fact that these disclosures are happening. Well, first of all, when you spend our tax dollars for any purpose, we have a right to know where those tax dollars go. And I could see possibly if there was a Black Ops fund of some sort that would be have operational safety issues for the patriots involved with that, that you might not want to disclose all those, but those should be few and far between. Absolutely. And the disclosures have been just hilarious, at least from this conservative veteran viewpoint, funding Sesame Street in other countries or a version of it. And the absolute payola schemes that were going on with the mainstream media is something else. Now, President Trump has a post out about that, talking about some of the misdirections or poorly chosen directions of USAID or USAID funds. And there's a deliberate misspelling in that. So we're going to look again a little bit today at this USAID situation, which I'm enjoying, and I think most people are too. We want to, if you've been spending money poorly, you need to be held accountable for it. And it's not only poorly, but I think it's criminal in many cases what has been done. I mean, I didn't want to spend millions of dollars transgendering rats, mice, and monkeys personally. Did you? So let's look at this post. Let's look at a deliberate misspelling and some of the logic that may be behind it, because this does tie into 17 posts. So I'll take you there too. I'm going to take you to my platform, my channel on the platform X, and we'll look at a couple items, and then we'll see what the universe wants to let us know about the situation. Okay? Hang on just a second while I get you to that share screen. Okay, well, here is President Trump's post yesterday. It says, looks like billions of dollars have been stolen. There's a double L there at USAID and other agencies, much of it going to the fake news media as a payoff for creating good stories about the Democrats. The left-wing rag known as Politico seems to have received $8 million. But the New York Times received money. Who else did? This could be the biggest scandal of them all, perhaps the biggest in history. The Democrats can't hide from this one. Too big, too dirty. Okay. Now, then there was some chatter in and on channels about this. First of all, the double L's. If you go to any of the compilation sources for 17 posts, there's a number of ones using the bracket LL from the deliberate misspelling. And one of them takes us to this post, 2478. Let the unsealing begin. Let the declass begin. Let the world witness the truth. We the people, justice under the law. Boom. Okay, there was some chatter regarding this on alt media chatter sites. And one anon said basically, USAID is the CIA doing what the CIA is not legally allowed to do, which we know nothing stops them. Another anon said, I think USAID was a small but important revenue stream. What it does is hurt the funding for the fake news media, which is the biggest impediment to waking people up. I'd like to interject a personal comment there. I understand that the funding also went to some of the electioneering sites, and so they were funding some election shenanigans too. USAID was, which total conflict of interest. And then another anon said, Trump intentional misspellings equal new directive, the beginning of a new phase in the plan, a change in direction, etc. The Democrats slash deep state also recognize the intentional misspellings by now. Democrats and the deep state have no clue what is coming next, but those who have the code know what every misspelling means. It must be driving them crazy by now. Okay, so the misspellings matter. And they do indicate when Trump is doing something like the caps, he's talking about a change in direction, a change in plan, and there's a lot of embedded codes, as we know, going on with many of the items that come out that are authored by or said to be authored by President Trump. So I found that really interesting. Now I want to just do a question about that because the Declas, the misspelling, kind of tied in with that post about Declas. And I think Declas is, I don't know that I can give you the exact textbook definition of it, but Declass stands for declassification. I think that's kind of already what's happening, but I think they're letting us know that more is coming down the pike as it should, because we need transparency and disclosures and information to be informed residents of whatever country we're at, but I'm speaking for the United States in particular. So, because we're hearing about the funding. Now, that $8 million for that one news media outlet was only a small part of what actually got to them because a lot of these news medias had top tier subscriptions you could get for like $500,000 a year. And the federal government had hundreds of those, hundreds of those. My gosh, you could access the information from those various sites if you needed to track it for free or for a very small fee. And that's what they should have been doing. So obviously, it was a money laundering scheme. Okay, so let's ask the universe though. The person seen in the public eye as President Trump had a post out with a deliberate misspelling again of the word stolen, which may is it true that there's a tie to that and the 17 post about Declass plus additional insights and information the universe wants us to have? Okay, so we're going to just kind of leave it wide open, but I do have a yes or no element to this question we'll be posing, and that is there a deliberate tie-in from that post from Trump, the 17 post that talks about, with that bracketed L that talks about Declass, and then other insights and information? Let's find out. I think a lot of people are going to be having to live with others knowing their actions, their choices, and if you can't stand by them, then you shouldn't be doing them to start with. So this is, as far as I'm concerned, it's much needed change and it's a step in the right direction. Now, dismantling 80 to 90% of our government would also be something I would totally support, but hopefully we'll get there. Hopefully we'll get there. Okay, I'm going to switch the camera and you can watch me work with the cards and we'll find out what the universe wants us to know about this question. We do know misspellings matter. That's not in doubt. We're asking if there's a connection between this particular one and that 17 post. I'm excited to find out what we find out. By the way, when I finish the current events part of this video, I will have an update, and it doesn't really have anything to do with current events other than a personal update and some other information about the channel. You're welcome to stay for that or leave. I'll do, as I usually do, bid you goodbye and then start the afterward in case that's not where your point of interest is. Okay, let's go to that other camera and see what the universe wants us to know. Okay, just again for clarity, the person seen in the public eye as Donald Trump had a social media post out yesterday that has a deliberate misspelling of the word in the word stolen, the double L. So we'd like to know if there is a confirmation of a connection between that misspelling and that 17 post that hinted that Declass is coming. Who knows? We may be able to give someone a heads up if they were wondering what that code was about, because I think there's a very good chance that there's a tie-in here. And then, because I don't always have the broad enough perspective, we are also welcoming in additional insights and information about this topic. Okay, well, we got our yes already. Ace of Swords is our first card. Then we have a 10 of Swords. I'm loving this read already. King of Swords. 2 of Wands. 4 of Pentacles. I like seeing that. That talks about good money management. or energy management of some sort. Knight of Pentacles and the Magician. We'll get a couple other cards here before we're done just to see if the universe has other information for us. First of all, as I said, I'm going to just tell you intuitively, just at a glance, if I wasn't in the habit of explaining elements of the cards to people as I am, because I feel like everybody should be able to realize that tarot isn't necessarily as mysterious as we would have been led to believe. So, just looking at this, I would say yes. With our question, we have a definite yes that there is a connection between that 17 post talking about Declas and that recent social media post by President Trump. And Declas is kind of the name of the game here. Things are changing. It's the end of an era, absolutely. The White Hats, the Alliance, are integral to what is happening here, much to the dismay of the deep state and um, deeply liberal, illogical people. Now, if I was going to give you some advice about what's going to happen in the near future, I would let you know that there's going to be a genuine effort to be more transparent about how money is spent and more logical about spending money and items that are approved for spending in the U.S. government. And just a reassurance I'm seeing here that there is this is again part of that, a long laid out and well thought out plan. A military campaign is in process here, and it's being very, very successful. And that in the near future, we are going to be able to manifest the future we want for our world, for this country, and for our world. Now let's look at the cards and I'll show you why I got some of that. If you've been watching me any time at all, you know my Ace of Swords is always a hard yes. It can have other indications too, but definitely a hard yes here. It's also about the written and spoken words, so that connection between those posts is being confirmed here with the swords. And then clarifier, yeah, they're going to be outed. Absolutely outed. It's definitely the end of an era. There is actually a death knell going on for some long established money laundering and money trails that were in place. Who's behind it? The White Hats. Absolutely. King of Swords is one of my White Hat Alliance cards. Always, always, always. And it's part of us taking our world to a new place, setting out on that path for a new world in a very beautiful and wonderful way. Now, here's the card with frugality. This is for the near future. This talks about managing your resources, whether they be money or energy or what have you, whatever it might be. This card is always talking about managing your resources. Okay. Now, it's also kind of, to me, a little silly because this guy, even though he's trying to hold on to that, keep his feet down here, he's got one he hasn't kept track of. So it can also say that there may be something with our current perspective on this issue that we're not yet aware of. So that can be an element that's happening here. The Knight of Pentacles is the most steadfast card in the tarot deck, and it's also one frequently involving military actions and always reassuring that those actions, those campaigns, have been very well planned and executed. So a little reassurance again that nothing can stop what is coming, and what's coming appears to be Declas. And then the other confirmation card here we have, or information, is the Magician, and this is making things manifest. And when something is manifest, it's evident. So I think it's, again, saying those disclosures are going to happen. We're going to be finding out a lot of information. I want them to keep it coming out, even though I'm not really particularly interested in the specifics. I've heard enough to be amused and horrified, but not totally surprised at how our hard-earned tax money has been misused and especially politicized. That always bothered me. Like I said, no big surprise, but always bothered me. Let's get those other cards I promised. We have Page of Cups coming up here, and we have the Eight of Pentacles. Okay, just indicating again, actually, there's going to be kind of a nice surprise headed our way as far as the information goes. So we're going to be learning something, not that makes us pleased, but that maybe something was stopped is going to be pleasing to us. And that moving forward, some of the changes that happen are going to be, again, reassurance that it's well thought out and really very masterfully enacted and done. So there we have it. Let's recap. USAID or USAID, depending on how it's pronounced, has been forced to disclose where a lot of taxpayer dollars have been going to support programs or prop up or institute things. For example, a cement plant in that was used to build the tunnels for the Hamas. It's just crazy what some of this money. And President Trump commented on it yesterday in a social media post. That post had a deliberate misspelling. Now, the mainstream media might want you to believe that it was the misspelling of a buffoon, but there's meaning to those misspellings, always. That was not in question in this read at all. What we wondered, though, was that a misspelling, often if you go to the 17 posts and do a search using that letter, you can find posts that might be relevant. One that seemed to apply was a post about declass or declassification, which I think it's the trickle stage happening anyway right now with the information coming out about USAID. So what's going on? We ask the universe, is there a connection? Is there a connection between Donald Trump's post and the 17 posts that talked about declass? Very first card that came up. Hard yes with the Ace of Swords. Absolutely. And for those of you like me who aren't happy with how our tax money was being squandered and wasted and politicized, instead of going to genuine needs and infrastructure and, you know, development, um, yeah, it's the end of an era, absolutely, for this kind of shenanigans. So the disclosures are going to continue. The transparency is going to be forced upon those. It shouldn't need to be forced. It should have been a standard practice. You have to be transparent about where you send our tax dollars. But apparently it wasn't. Okay, white hats are behind it, 100%. Nothing can stop what is coming. And we're heading out in a new direction, guys. Like I said, personally, I hope it also involves a lot less government, maybe even less than they're talking about now. But as long as that's headed out our way, I'll just welcome it when it happens. But it can start happening now. They can start shutting down some things or simplify things. You know, a national sales tax, no income tax. Makes sense. Much easier to handle and probably a more consistent revenue stream. Okay, the Knight of Pentacles just reassured us that this was a military operation that has been well thought out. As we know, nothing can stop what is coming. In the future, better management of funds is going to be the expectation and the result. Absolutely. And just a reminder, we are part of making manifest anything that we want in our world coming forward, but also manifestation here with the magician also talks about these declass and disclosures are going to continue. They're going to, nothing can stop them. They are going to happen. So it's not just about creating the world we want, it's about exposing needed things about the one we're in as we work towards the one we want to be in. So that's it for the current events portion of this video. I thank you so much for your time and attention. I do not take you for granted. I'll say that again. And just a little final word. USAID has never funded what I do at all. So yeah, you can say that in this era of funded liberal politics and media, you had to go to tarot to get some that was absolutely um, done with integrity and without anybody supporting and slanting a perspective in any way at all. So again, if you're willing to receive it, I send you love, light, and I wish for you everything bright. Bye. Now, if you stayed for the afterword, I have two. First of all, just a quick update on my daughter without disclosing a lot of personal information. Surgery went great, and she is slowly but surely getting back on her feet. So, it's family does for family, and I'm helping her out, and that's why I was gone for a few days. So we're slowly getting back into routine and recovery is ongoing. And I thank you very much for all of those who sent healing and positive energy and prayers our way. All positive energy was and is and always will be welcome. Okay? So it's not just about monetary support. Now, another item. I am going to do my first ever collaboration later this evening with Larry Martin, who is a very well-known astrologer. And it is going to be done by Zoom that you can get there's still some tickets available to join us. And why I'm saying that is I want to, first of all, just let you know that there are still some tickets available if you'd like to be there. And it's going to be kind of a almost no holds barred about what topic. So if you got a current events thing that you've been wanting, and you know how when I do personal reads, I ask you to kind of hold those, you can ask it and you can find out what is going on. I've seen Larry in some of his sessions. He does astrology, like with XRP, going back to the date it went on to the exchange and has some information about that. So you can ask about current events. You can ask about 17, and I will not be talking in code. And bring any topic you'd like to the table, especially if it's something you would like to have both uh, esoteric means used to gain some insights. The astrology element, which is based on planetary movement, and then the tarot, which I use as an intuitive aid. No channeling involved. So you're welcome to be part of that. He is asking for $17 in admission. 17 is one of our favorite numbers. And if you think about it, you can ask a question for that $17. We're going to guarantee that you may ask a question and you'll get an $8.50 answer from me, an $8.50 answer from him. Now, because I don't charge for content I create, now I'm not creating this. I was invited to do this with him, but he is charging a fee for this. He has agreed to let me air this segment a week or so from now so you can see what happened. But if you want to be part of it when it happens, this inaugural process for us, I'm going to put a link in the video description box and you can buy your ticket and be part of it. It will be happening at 5:30 Mountain Time, 7:30 Eastern, and again, today's date, Friday, February 7th. So you can take it from there. Now, since I'm not going to be talking in code, I also wanted to just give you a heads up if you're going, oh, well, I'll just wait, and I understand if your budget's tight. That's why I want to still make content I'm part of, available to you. But if I'm not talking in code, I'm probably only going to be able to post this on Rumble and BitChute and not on YouTube. So some places Rumble isn't allowed. And so I wanted to be real clear about that. If you can access BitChute in an area that doesn't allow Rumble, then you'll be able to see it that way. I just wanted you to know where to find it later if you wait to see it at no charge. And if it's in your budget and it sounds like fun to ask a question and work with us live on answers and perspectives, we'd love to have you there. Absolutely, would love to have you there. So he is going to cap the entrance at 17 because we can only do so many questions in a 2-hour time. And as time goes on, we may work with another format where you could join and then, but since people are paying for an admission, we want to make sure that we can give everybody a chance to ask a question that's been really, on their minds, whether it's political or economical or spiritual or whatever it might be. You can bring it to the table, okay? And we'll work on it with you. That's it for this video. I thank you so much for your time, your attention. I don't take you for granted. I value each and every one of you, and I hope you value yourselves too, because you should. God doesn't make junk. That's it. So until next time, if you're willing to receive it, I send you love, light, and I wish for you everything bright. Bye.